everybody, welcome back to Life Under Deborah's Palm, the Dementia Road. I'm calling these videos, and it may be a whole series at the rate things are going, I'm calling this the art of letting go. And my mom's in the midst of we don't know what, but it looks like it will be the end. But we really don't know because the disease is just that weird and that hard to understand sometimes. So first of all, let me just back up a little bit and explain to you how I work this channel. The videos that you have seen from probably about mid-December or late December until the last one uploads Wednesday. Well, let me back up. Today is Valentine's Day. Today is Monday, February 14th, 2022. Sorry, but the next video will drop here, I think tomorrow at midnight, technically Wednesday. They were all shot back in December because that's the way I do it. I run 2 channels and a blog, and so when I do things, I work on like huge chunks and then I schedule them. So you'll see a video tomorrow, or Wednesday I should say, about visiting and stuff like that, what my mom's up to. Since that time, because those were shot about 2 months ago now, things have changed in just, we don't know. Everybody's kind of beside themselves. No one knows what's really going on. I'm going to clip a couple videos in. They're very short. I am not really recording all this. It's pretty hard to watch. But what ended up happening was I went to see my mom 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday, which I believe, was it Groundhog Day? I don't know. It was something like that, like the 1st or the 2nd of February. She was fine. She was her usual self. I go once a week. So the following Tuesday, I didn't go. I was planning on going on a Wednesday, and I got a call from her caseworker later on Tuesday who said to me, I was off last week, so I assume you were up. Did you notice anything about your mom? And I said, was I supposed to notice something? What was I looking for? What are you seeing? And she said, she's really had a very big change from the time I was off. That week I was off. Something's wrong. And we just wondered what you noticed. Nothing. She was her normal self for her. And the case manager said, well, no, she's definitely had a huge change. She will not follow instructions. She's refusing to eat. She's refusing to drink. She won't sit down at the table. She stands there somewhat defiant almost, and no one's really sure what's going on. So I said, well, I'll be up. I'll, rearrange my schedule. I'll be up. So I went up to find my mother. Definitely very, very different in a week. And she wouldn't talk to me. It was a bit like the delirium video that I put out back last, probably May, June. If you watch delirium and drugs and what's going on, it was that same behavior, sort of. It was real close. Mom? Mom? Mom, are you okay? Does something hurt? You're not going to talk to me today? No? Okay. So that Tuesday I went up to visit her, and while I was visiting her, I had other people, the aides and some other folks who work there, say, your mother changed like literally overnight. One aide said, I left on a Saturday. There was nothing wrong with her. I'm back here on Tuesday, and she's like totally different. So the change was very quick. So we ended up doing the obvious. The case worker went and said, none of her medication changed last week. There's nothing glaring. Nobody sees anything that should create that behavior. So she said, I put a call into the physician's assistant, and she will be up tomorrow to check on your mom. So the physician's assistant went up last Wednesday, the 9th, and she called me and she said, your mom's real ornery, which we knew. She said, we're not really sure what's going on? She said the most obvious cause of that behavior in older adults is urinary tract infection, bladder infection, and your mom's prone to them. And maybe we should try that route. She said, but she's refusing her medication, so I can't give her pills. Like giving her antibiotics won't work because she's not taking her medicine. Okay, so that's fine, whatever. So I said, well, what do we do? And she said, well, there's a couple of options. She said, I can give her a shot of, I think it's Haldol or something, basically. I think something that'll sedate her a little bit. And then I can give her a shot of penicillin and see if that stops the behavior. My mom does not react well. Haldol or any type of narcotic or painkiller, my mom is extremely sensitive. And they said it'll make her off balance, or it can make her dizzy, I should say. And she's already very off balance. And the concern was a fall issue. And I just said, I'm just really not sure. I'm not loving the idea, but I'm not really sure what to do with this. And she said, well, you have another option. She's refusing to eat and drink. No one's going to force her. I'm not going to force her. They can't force her. They just can do their best. Normally this results in a switch where they send them to a nursing home, but that's not the case this time. She said, I've seen people, this was the PA now, she said, I've seen people do this before, where something changes and we never really know what it is, and they refuse to eat or drink, and they don't believe it's the disease. She said it happened just too fast. So she said, I don't believe it's the disease. I think something's going on, and she doesn't want to eat or drink. And so you also have the option to just kind of let nature take its course. And she said some people don't deal with that well. Other people are okay with it. And I said, my mom's 86 years old. Her birthday's not too far down the road. And she's got just a barrage of health issues beyond dementia. She's got an autoimmune disease. She's got bad discs all up and down her back, scoliosis. She's in pain all the time. She's got COPD. Her circulatory system and her respiratory system work at 50% or less. Why am I keeping her here? Why would I do that to her? I don't think the Haldol and whatever was a great option, and I just didn't like it. And I said, well, what happens if we just let her go? And she said she can stay right where she's at in assisted living. You and some family or friends may have to come up and give them a hand with some things because they're not set up for that, which is totally okay. So that was the decision that we made. So I've agreed to just let her go. If she doesn't want to eat, she doesn't eat. If she doesn't want to drink, she doesn't drink. And we really don't know what's going on. And so that was Tuesday, Wednesday. So now we're at almost a week, and I think I've kind of figured out what's going on. So I've been up there every day, and she does seem to get a little worse, and then she seems to rally a little bit, but I don't think it's an infection. I don't think that's what's going on. I know my mother, she's prone to the UTIs, and when she gets one, she gets temperature, and she didn't get a temperature. That's not what's going on. So Saturday, I was there, and she was really bad. She was really, really bad, and I thought, she's not going to get out of bed on Sunday, and this is going to be the beginning of the end. For real. Like, when they don't get out of bed, generally what happens is they go into a semi-comatose state, and then they go into basically a coma, and then they die. And our experience with a couple different people has been about 48 hours, give or take. Mostly give. But that's just been our experience. So I thought, she's not getting out of bed tomorrow, which was yesterday. So I went up yesterday, I got there and the aide said she didn't come to breakfast, which I didn't expect. She said she's down in her room and she's dressed. So I went down to her room and I found her sitting in her chair and she had dirty pajamas on and a dirty Depends that was on from the day before. And this is not, listen to me, I am not beating up the facility. They tried everything. I was there and they could not get her out of it. She was so combative, they just didn't know what to do. So now I was there and the aide came down and she said, maybe now that there's 2 of us and you're here, you know, we can get somewhere. Well, it ended up taking 3 of us and we did get her changed and cleaned up, but here's what we figured out. As I said, she has severe scoliosis and 7 bad discs in her back. She has a chronic fracture in her lower vertebrae from this, and it creates pain. It creates pain in her shoulders, in her arms. She's always complaining her arms hurt, and we noticed that when she's getting up, she isn't putting her hands down on the chair. They kind of, you know, push themselves up or steady themselves when they sit, and she's not doing that. So the girls had to kind of lift her to get her pajama bottoms down, and you know, they got her cleaned up, but she was screaming. I mean, she was in so much pain. She was just screaming, "Don't touch me," and it hurts, and just it was so hard to watch. So they got her changed and cleaned and dressed, and they said, okay, this pain thing is the issue. This is what's going on with her, and that's what's going on. Sat her down, relax, let her relax. They said, we'll be back, and like, let her sit for a few and we'll be back. And that's when I shot this really short video that may be very hard for some of you to watch. So this is the end of Dementia, and it might be really hard for a lot of people to watch. We're not really...
This is a cruel thing.
She's saying this is cruel, and it's really, it's hard. I might have to put a trigger warning on this, but what happened was a couple weeks ago, or about a week ago, she just instantly took a turn for the worse. She's in excruciating pain, and we're not sure what we're going to do. The nurse is going to come check it out.
Go home.
She's telling me to go home. No, Mom, I'm going to stay with you, okay? You really, you need me to stay with you for... She can hardly get up. So she was so bad, we're just at a loss at this point. In fact, I'm waiting for some phone calls back to see what we're going to do with this, because I just don't know what we're going to do with this. I think it'll be the end ultimately, but it's not an end from dementia. I'll give you a backstory. Last night, so we went again last night. I had to go back and check on her, and she was better. She's still miserable. She's cranky. She's very weak. She's not really talking, and she's definitely not talking to me these days. They tried to get her to eat, and she's not interested in, and it's fine. And you know, when you're in excruciating pain, you sometimes you just don't want to eat. I mean, you don't feel good. They had put little things out for her to see if she would pick at something, and there was a fig Newton, and it was like a fig Newton bar. My husband had broke the end of it off, and she picked it up really slow, and she put it back down and literally just hit it as hard as she could and like flung it on the floor. They had brought her ice cream. She whipped the spoon, and I said, oh my gosh, I think I know what's happened. This is the backstory. So two or 3 weeks ago. I'm not really positive when. It was a Saturday, and I got a phone call from an aide, and they said there's been an incident. And I went, oh gosh, because they have to call you when things happen. So the aide said, do you know your mom has a chair? And my mom has a chair in the common area that she has decided is her chair, and no one ever sits in her chair. And if they sit in her chair, she makes them move. Well, there was a woman that was sitting in her chair, and my mother went to tell her to move, and the woman refused. My mother started kicking her, presumably in the shins, probably. She started kicking the woman. Totally not my mom. Well, this woman has a little boyfriend at the unit, and he's over 6 feet tall. And he came over and grabbed my little 5 foot tall mother, and I guess he had her by the shoulders and started shaking her. And the aides were there. They came running and broke the thing up. One of the aides actually got put into the wall by this guy. He's also a resident there. They don't know you can't blame them. You just can't. So that was how that went. And everybody calmed down. They just don't let people sit in my mother's chair because it's just easier that way. My mom, we tried to check her for bruises a few days later, and she was kind of like, don't touch me and whatever. And that's how she gets. But I didn't see any bruises, and they said he actually had her like this and was shaking her. So we didn't really see any bruises, which is surprising. Old people bruise easy. But now that some time's gone by, I'm wondering if when he shook her, that he exacerbated an already bad situation. Did a disc slip? Is something cracked? Or did it get a little funky and then she went to sleep and she just slept on it wrong, and now stuff is it's beyond repair, and it's been that way. So I don't know, but I'm going to kind of update this as I go, because there comes a point when it's just time to let go. I don't find it that hard in a way, and I will tell you why. So if you're in this situation and your loved one is still fairly cognitively, okay, make sure you know this. Find out their wishes now if you don't know them. My mother has always told us, when it's time, it's time. Don't leave me here. Don't put artificial anything. I don't want anything breathing for me. I don't want anything feeding for me. None of that. No nutrition, nothing. When it's my time, it's my time. You need to let me go. It's her time. And if you don't know this, because you won't know this until you've been through this, like we've already been all the way through this. We've been through this where we've watched death in a nursing home. Assisted living isn't where they die. Assisted living is in between home and a nursing home. When they can't stay in assisted living and they go to a nursing home, they get sat in a wheelchair, in a diaper, and spoon-fed. It's much easier to let my mother go. So I'm going to keep updating this. I don't know. We thought for sure with the state that she was in last week that literally she would be gone by today. I'm not exaggerating. And she's not. So we're realizing now that while this may be the end, and I think it is, I think she's just going to get dehydrated, and that's just how it's going to go. But where we were thinking days, it may be a little bit longer, and it's real hard. My brother's out of state, and he's like, do I get a plane ticket? Do I not get a plane ticket? Like everybody's kind of in this weird state of flux, and you just don't know what to do. So that's how that goes. And yeah, it's been a hard week. It's been a weird week, and I will probably, I'll update this as I go and do the best I can, because that's all we can do when we caretake, right? And you just do the best you can. There's nothing else you can do. And I'll say this anyways. Have a great day.